Once we've set up our image the way we'd like the camera to be shooting, and we've set up our audio, let's start to examine some of the advanced features we can get into using the camcorder. Now, one of the first things that you might want to start working with are what are called picture profiles. Now, the picture profiles that you'll find in the V1 are incredibly unique because they are set up to look like or emulate various types of film stock. So let's get into the picture profile modes and see what's available. First, let's turn on the picture profiles by pressing the picture profile mode. And we can see all of our different picture profiles displayed here. Now, as we cycle through them, you can actually see the image in the background changing to demonstrate what that picture profile is going to do. In this camcorder, we can name the picture profiles as well. So let's come down to picture profile number 5. That's the first one I have that has no name. Let's hit the select button on the camcorder. And this gets us into our settings mode. So we'll scroll down to setting. And now we can start to set up our picture profiles. First of all, let's choose our color level. Now, just for kicks, let's turn this into kind of a cartoonish color level. We'll take this all the way up to a level of 7. And you can see our colors in the background are pretty bright. Next, let's swing down to color phase. We can even swing the phase of the color back and forth from blue to reds. I'm going to leave this set to, let's say, a level of -2, so that we're going to cool it down just a touch. Next, sharpness. Now, sharpness is something that's going to depend on your particular taste. We can take the sharpness all the way out, or we can slide it all the way up to a value of 15. It's very easy to become too sharp with your image. I generally like to keep this right around the 10 to 12 range to have the sharpest picture. You want to be very cautious with this, especially when you're working with a lot of hard vertical or hard horizontal lines. Next, skin tone. We can turn on or off skin tone details, and you'll see we have 3 different modes here. You're not going to see a lot of change here as we're looking at this bowl of fruit. You'll see this on various types of skin. This will allow you to soften out various blemishes in the skin to a limited degree. I generally like working on type 2 for most types of skin. And then the skin tone level. How much skin tone effect are we going to place in the picture? So if we slide this all the way up to 8, that's a tremendous amount. Let's take this back from 8 and let's slide back to type 1 and type 2. If you look very closely, you can see in the highlights some of the details that are changing in the shot here. Let's leave this back set to type 2. Come back to our skin tone level, and let's set this down to an average of about 5. Next, white balance shift. This allows us to shift up or down the white balance for a warmer or a cooler color, depending on what it is we'd like to work with. I generally like leaving that set to 0, but again, you can change this. We have a knee point. In other words, this is a gamma setting point. We've got a low, middle, and a high, or an auto knee. Generally, I leave this in the auto position. However, you might find that the low knee is a little smoother when you're dealing with a lot of bright and dark images. In other words, with a lot of latitude in the shot. So we'll leave this set to auto for the time being. Next, black compensation. This is effectively the same thing as black stretch. We've got a couple of different modes here. We can compress the blacks down, and this is one of the great looks in this camcorder. This is something that you'll want to use, especially when you're working in very dark areas. And then the black stretch mode. This will lighten up some of the image, but it'll give you a different gamma in the lower end. Again, something for personal preference. So you can see how the black stretch will lighten up some of the darker areas here, reducing some of our contrast. And then we have the black compress mode, which goes just the opposite direction, so it gives us yet another look. Finally, we get down into the cinematone gamma. This allows us to have some different gamma looks, much like some of the film. Now, I'm going to leave the cinematone gamma off for the moment and slide down to the cinematone color. Now here we have a couple of different looks. The cinematone color actually uses a different type of color control. It's called the lookup table, and this allows us to emulate various film stocks. Finally, we can come down to our picture profile name. Coming into the profile name, we can scroll through and choose what we want. Let's call this high contrast or high color. We'll stick a space in there or a hyphen in there. There we go. High color. And now we're ready to just accept that or set it. So slide over to the OK. Now we've got one called high color. And we could have set that off all the way to the side, but you get the idea how you can set each one of these up. We can copy these and paste them to other sets, or we can reset this to a 0 point as well. So let's slide back up and choose OK. So there's our high color picture profile. Let's re-enable our picture profiles. There's high color, monotone for black and white,